Good evening. Hold on. Hello. Okay. I knew something didn't sound right. Good evening. Welcome to Free Thinkers. I'm Q. We got some people going to be on here soon. And I think we're going to have a great conversation today. So for those of you who don't know, Free Thinkers is a group. Primarily starts out as a debate / conversation group where we talk about any and everything. I did mention on one of my other shows, High IQ. I talked about how high IQ comes from like a Christian baseline and a Christian foundation. Free Thinkers has no baseline, no foundation. So
Just truth.
Absolutely.
Truth and curiosity.
You start out with your truth. You start out with factual truth. You start out with socially acceptable truth, and then we find out what's what in the middle of the conversation. So, if you've never been in, feel free to join us. You can find the link on our Facebook page. Also, you can follow us on YouTube. We've hit 100 subscribers. Are we at 101 yet, or what we at?
We are at 101 as of last week.
Okay,
but why do we have 636 people in our Facebook channel? And there's 500 and something, 535 less of 535 less of us over there on YouTube. Right. So please go do us a solid and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Of our voice. If you hear us saying this and you recognize you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Trust me, you've subscribed to much lesser things. I subscribed. It was these little puppies wearing tuxedos, and I subscribed to that page because it made me laugh. So I'm like, oh, the little puppy got on the tuxedo. Subscribe.
And if you absolutely don't want to, I don't understand. But you don't even have to subscribe to where you get the notifications. But damn, let's stay in touch. Like we show love back. We always show love back. So if you fuck with us, we fuck with you. Like we will support and love you back in return. So I hope that tonight, before the show is over, I'm gonna go to YouTube whenever we're done, and I'm like, oh my god, we have
yeah.
So let's at least get us some newbies over on the YouTube channel. And I found, and it isn't a hack, but I screenshotted some help from the StreamYard page because obviously going between Facebook and StreamYard, it's not pulling all people's comment names and it's just showing Facebook user. So I screenshotted some help tips, and it's really, 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 really easy. So if you're trying to get your name to show up on Facebook, if you're going to live comment with us, go to the Facebook page, and it's like the most recent thing I posted. Super simple. It's like StreamYard /Facebook or some shit. But you'll see some screenshots on how to give StreamYard and Facebook permission to talk to each other, so that if you live chat with us on Facebook, it will show us when we see the comment who it's coming from. Otherwise, go over to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel will always pull what your profile is, so we'll always know who we're talking to. So that definitely helps. It helps me. I like to know who we're talking to.
I don't care. Look, well, I like it even better, so I don't know who it is. That way I'm not being biased based on who responded.
I just kind of like that part, because sometimes I can read it and be like, okay, I have no feelings involved because I don't know who it is. So I do agree with you there. Right. But the nosy part of me is like, who the fuck said that? So totally up to you. Obviously you don't have to do any of these things, right? But you can find, but there is a workaround to being able to get your profile to show up if if it's important to put your name up there whenever you're commenting with us. And Q, I don't know if you got a new light in your studio.
I am bright as I don't know.
You are white than a mug. You got the whole sun right here.
Everything turned, I have all of my lights turned down. I have my upper light turned, this is as low as I can turn it without it.
That's crazy.
Without me turning everything. I know it is.
I know when I was over at your house, I made the absolute horrible mistake of wearing a white fucking shirt. So I got my super white winter with my white shirt. I was like
I'm looking whiter than Nikki right now, and I can't. I'm trying to find out how to get it down.
I was like, why you got this light dead in your face right now?
I mean, I have everything. The only light is the light from really just the light from my screens is really.
So and you've got your above lights off too?
Yes, that's off.
Damn. Yeah, I got all my lights off.
Well, figure it out.
You just shining and bright today. That's all. You just shining and bright. Let's see. I'm going
Also,
and putting.
keep in mind we're going to be talking about things that has adult content, adult language. So just keep that in mind. And if you want to get on, if you want to feel free. We like other people getting on. Just make sure you got something to put in your ear so drown out the bleeding noise and the echo.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're going to get into a good conversation. I think we got a good one today.
I think so. And, as I thought a little bit more about it, I was like, we've kind of talked about some of this, like, in theory, but I think it's still a great conversation to have. I think, just the debate about, why we get into why we believe what we believe or don't, and so on and so forth. I think it's a great conversation. So appreciate you hooking on for the suggestion last week. It's crazy how we can go months where we're like just dying for topics. And then sometimes there's like boom, 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 like weeks worth of stuff. So we've got some great conversations coming up the next couple weeks planned. So, but please continue, please keep, recommending and suggesting topics and things that you want us to talk about, because we appreciate that. So that's what we got tonight.
Okay. Thanks for having me in the waiting room for like 20 minutes.
Well, we ain't started yet. You right where you need to be. And where's your video?
I'm working right now. I'm working right now, but I do have another topic suggestion in the works. Q, were you able to find out what Title 4D was?
No.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I'll let you present it though. Listen, let me tell y'all something. And I'll be completely honest. People, you'll have a hard time. If I'm not interested in it, then I usually don't read it. But if it's something that prompts me to look into it, then I will read it. Or I'll people send stuff to me all the time. It's like, so let me give you my philosophy about that before we get started. Once upon a time, I think I was an information junkie. Right. But I realized if you gather information without the ability to process it, or without the desire to process it,
that's important.
You just become intellectually constipated. You just got a bunch of information just backing up, and then you don't know what to do with it. So I allow and I get, this is what I take my it's almost like a spiritual thing for me. I allow my soul and my being to tell me what I want to uncover. So based off of my questions, I ask questions. And then once I simplify and I can make sense of it, then my being will tell me, you want to know more about this. You have more questions about this. You have, but outside of that, I don't really, I don't dig into stuff just for the sake of doing it unless it's something that I'm interested in. So that's just me.
Maybe something that you probably could relate to. So I'll tell you what Title 4D is. Title 4D is
jumping off subject already. You ain't got to your first subject and you jumped into another.
You said let you know. So don't just say something.
Let you know right now. I ain't saying the beginning of the show.
You gotta be more specific, brother.
Well, you should know I like staying on topic. You know that about me, right?
Yes, I do, but you got to be more specific as far as like, okay, we'll let me know more about it after the show, something like that. Because you just like, you got to inform me or fill me in, but you didn't really give the extra detail after that.
Well, we'll do some homework. We'll do some homework between now and Tuesday. We'll figure out what
the homework, but we can talk about it. So
what that is for sure.
I'm always interested in talking. I'm okay talking even from an ignorant perspective sometimes. So okay.
Do we want to address this real quick? Because
no, let's go. That's like you said, stay on topic. Let's just do that.
No, don't tell me I can jump off topic whenever I want to. You ain't dictating nothing over here.
We are.
You suggested it. You the one said that. You said no. Let's stay on topic. So I'm respecting your call, Coach.
Okay, right. Well, so when we say we're gonna address a comment in a comment, we finna address the comment. So about this comment. Do we want to address this comment about I tried to be conversational, but y'all didn't want it?
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
You need to get on and tell me what you mean about that.
Yeah, and realistically, And realistically, there's sometimes we can't get to every comment that's in there. Like, we do try very hard to make sure that we tend to the conversations that are taking place in the chat, because that's equally as important to us as people who will join the conversation live, right? Like, I don't ever want somebody in the live comments to think like, oh, they're not paying attention. Oh, we're definitely paying attention. But one, I can't fucking read. Like, my vision is so absolutely bad, so I can't see shit, and I can't go back and forth between different screens. I can't see. My glasses don't look right because the ring light looks ridiculous on my face, so I can't see everything. And sometimes if we're fast moving, we can't get to everything in the comments. So that is an invitation to dial in and hop on this bad boy and get into the conversation. But we do try to tend to all the conversations over in the comment section.
Now I think Golden Brown Sugar, I think she was just joking, but I'm still gonna give you that smoke. I'm a joke some smoke back to you.
Brown Sugar.
Just in case anybody else might be feeling like, we've skipped over a comment in the comment section. We really tried not to, but it's always an invitation to come on live.
No, I ain't going for that, because we've used topics that Brown Sugar gave you. What was the conversation? It was a very
what
good
inspires you? What inspires you? That was like one of my favorites.
See, no, we've been taking that in. Now, if you want to get spicy with it, then jump on live with us.
Right.
But I know you joking. But thank you for your comments. Thank you for your input. Thank you for participating. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
let's jump in. Absolutely. Let's jump in. Nikki.
Yes.
Because I think I'm going to Yuhukanan last, because I think he probably has more of an educated answer. How old is the Earth?
Oh, I'm so glad that I looked this up right before we started.
Okay. So this ain't your opinion. This is just what you heard from the Google grapevine.
My opinion is not an opinion, right? So, my opinion. I'm looking forward to this conversation. But in looking up the answer to what the World Wide Web said the age of the Earth was, it also only continued to, for me, solidify my belief that I don't believe a lot of the shit that we were told. Because the answer that the World Wide Web said was that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, give or take 50 million. So it might be 50 million older, it might be 50 million younger, but 50 million years is a lot of fucking discrepancy. But 4.5 billion years is what science has apparently alluded in some form of fashion is the age of the Earth.
Okay. Yuhukanan, how old is the Earth?
I don't really know how old the Earth is, but what I can tell you in regards to the creation of man, I can give you an estimation as far as like I wouldn't say estimation, but the calculation as far as like when the first man was created up until now. So if you and it also depends on the no, let me finish my thought. And it also finished.
You just changed the question and went to something totally different.
No, I didn't. I was going into your question that you asked, brother. I told you I don't know. And then
you don't know how old the Earth is. That's the answer to that question first. You don't know how old it is. Okay.
Yeah, and then I expound, but you're not allowing me to do so. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me slow walk this. Thank you. Because we're gonna get to all that in just a second. So my question is, okay, so, and to tell you, and my answer is, I have no idea. Okay, I guess I'll go. Does it bother you that there's a 50 or 500, like a 50 million
year difference?
Does that, so scientifically, does that bother you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you asking a panel?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Yes, it does, because no man has been, I say, in existence since, heaven and earth was created. There's just no evidence of man being able to determine the time based on that factor in regards to the age of the earth and its existence. No man has been able to determine that factor, but you do get these, guesstimations and whatnot. Like, for example, what Nikki just research. 50 million years, which can be a bit of a stretch for some or a lot of people, but it also depends on the school of thought that you come from, or the perspective and the calculations thereof, depending on, I'll say the fossil remains of human remains that, determining the age of the earth based on that factor, amongst other things as well.
Okay. Let me throw this back out here. I'm gonna go to you first, Nikki. Why do you think if the earth is 4.5 billion years old and okay, no, let me go back first. How old do you now we're gonna step this, and then I got some follow-up questions after that. How old do you think mankind is on this earth?
So I also Googled that information because I don't get my data from I don't know the way that the Bible was written, right? For me to have a frame of reference, like I think a lot of people just generally do, right? So I don't know. So I went back and I Googled first humans. And ironically, there's a timeline for what's called the first human. There's a timeline for the Homo species. And then there's a timeline for other species of humans. So interestingly enough, it varies anywhere between 2 million and 6 million years, depending on where you derive this information.
Between 2 million and 6 million years?
Between 2 million and 6 million years ago is when the first humanoid species of whatever the fuck sort we want to call it has been presented. And so I just have a really hard time believing that billions of years of non-existence, other than possibly animals and whatever the fuck else they said there was here before the people were here, right? I just have a hard time believing that Earth was just out here spinning and doing its thing, for all these billions and billions and billions of years, and then boom, we show up.
And then you was about to go into my next question. Okay. But because then we're gonna slowly transition that into the whole religion of science aspect, but I want to make sure we touch this and make sure Yehukanan is able to kind of fill us in on even the topic itself. I
want to put a little side question into that. Is that also and y'all can answer, obviously based on your experience or just what you've been taught, but does that correlate with what the Bible says original humans, Adam and Eve or whatever? Is that about the same birth time? No. Okay. I didn't look into that. I didn't look into the Adam and Eve story to see when that was apparently born, right? But Adam and Eve is obviously way after the first human, technically.
Oh, Yehukanan is a much better Bible scholar than I am. But what I will say is the Bible speaks somewhere closer from 6,000 to 8,000. Now, what happens is there's a huge the question becomes what they call the gap theory in Genesis when they talk about God created the heavens and the earth. So basically, I'm not going to get deep into it, but it's how you view the 7 days of creation. Some people view the 7 days as God created the earth in literally 7 days.
Right.
Other people look at it as no, those days represented space and time. Those days represented thousands of years. Right. So when you're saying but you cannot speak to that better than I can. But based on how you believe that, then that's how one group of people can interpret 6,000 to 8,000, and others might be closer in the 2 million or the unknown range. But you could I know you study more than I do. You could speak to that better than me.
Okay. What was your question again? Can you rephrase it?
Sure. How old is man on this earth? What's the age of man on this earth? This is going back to the question you were going to before.
Okay, so based on my perspective, and I think this to be true, but considering the numbering sequences of the Bible and how the creator dictates the timeline that he set, we are in the year 5784 from creation. Now, when I say from creation, I mean from the time that Adam was created, as far as his death being recorded, because it's recorded that he lived 950 years. So when you do, that calculation based on the genealogy from the time of Adam to the time of Seth to the time of Enoch to the time of Noah, all the way down. When you do the calculation count of 50 years, because that's primarily what Jubilee is 50 years, and you kind of determine, that factor, you would get the calculation of 5784. Now, however, people may say that is inaccurate because there was a point in time in the time of history where that count kind of fell off. So people basically lost count. So they tried to resurface the count as far as like those who are Bible believers or believe in, as far as the time of the earth. The recount, or as far as like what year or what Jubilee that we're in, is when Israel became a nation again back in 1949 and started the Jubilee count from then, or the count from that point. But based on the calculation as far as the biblical perspective, we're in the year 5784 from creation. But if you want to take the Roman side of it, we're in the year 2023 or 2024.
Okay. Now, my question, let me go back. Do you believe, because whether it's 5784, whether it's 2 million or 6 million, that represents less than 1% of 4.5 billion.
Right.
So how, Nikki, how do you believe that humankind has, in the Earth's existence, we basically, and I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson do kind of a time, like if you broke it down within over the course of a week, the representation of human beings being on Earth would from a week's in the scope of a week, it would amount to us being here for about, I forgot, a couple minutes or something like that. Wow. How does that sit with you? I'm just like, do you feel like the Earth has been around like all of this time, and we've been around for the weekend? We just got here this weekend.
I don't, but for me, that I think was always the challenging part about growing up in a kid, going to regular public school, is that what they taught was presented in a way that you could ask questions, obviously, right? Like all kindergarten teachers would let you ask questions, and all first grade teachers would let you ask questions, and all second grade teachers, but it was never presented in a way where you were allowed to formulate your own fucking opinion. It was just, this is what the book said, and this is what we're going by. And then when they start to enter into fossils, and like to me, the science behind learning how old a tree is scientifically accurate. The rings make sense, right? Carbon dating. Like there's certain things that you can obviously find, thousands of feet deep in ice somewhere, right? Like I just don't feel like you can put a birth date on something when you don't know. And we can't even go back to the moon right now, right? So how in the absolute hell can we go back and figure out all this shit that we didn't even know what to call it when it was happening, to be able to give something a birthday? So the whole give or take 50 million years, it just seems like it's a really easy way to say, believe what I tell you because this is what sounds good. And it's so hard to quantify 4 billion fucking years. But think about the short period of 40 years we've been on this planet and how much has changed, how much has been destroyed, how much has gone extinct, how much is... So it's like, you mean to tell me, and granted, humans are the worst thing that have ever happened to the planet.
If we can destroy the Earth that quick in a matter of
40 years, 100 years, 2 centuries, like you can read, and a friend of mine, we were talking about this last night. After 80 years, you can basically rewrite history. If you keep telling a lie long enough for about 80 years, it takes about 80 years to change history.
Nikki,
so it's just,
think about this though. We can live on this earth 60, 70, 80, God willing, 100 years. But if we if we acquire certain cancers or certain viruses, how long does it take to kill us? You get the wrong virus, and all the 7 you can be dead in a matter of months.
Right.
The human species being the virus here on this earth, maybe it don't take that long to destroy it.
But if we've been here for, let's say, 2 to 6 million years.
Hold on, Nikki. God dang.
Oh,
I had a scary freaking thought.
Go ahead.
My Matrix now.
That part.
What if we as humans, we are the virus?
We kind of are.
And we're making the world sick.
We are.
What's going to happen is the Earth's
reset.
Okay. So you want to go there?
You talking about global warming? You talking about doing all this stuff that's going to burn our species off, which we are the virus, so that the Earth can recover and go back to its original form.
Q.
COVID.
Q. So you want to go? So you want to go there? Okay. So when you mentioned that, it brought up the Noah flood. When you're talking about as far as us making the Earth, polluting it and X, Y, and Z and whatnot. So when you when you come from a biblical perspective in regards to Noah, that when the flood happened, the wicked were washed away because they were basically polluting the earth, corrupting the earth, making things that were normal becoming abnormal. And this is to those who consider to be Bible believers, but for those who don't, to each his own. But the water represents a cleansing. So you know how you work, and at the end of the day, what do you do after you come from a long day of work outside? You take a shower or a bath, you cleanse yourself, right? So that water represents the cleansing aspect as far as washing or removing the filth that the earth was basically filled with. Now, when you get to another element that is going to be used that people, some people believe in or don't believe in, but whatever the case may be, fire. Fire is also another cleansing tool to remove the gunk or the filth or whatever the case may be. So when you brought that up, it made me think of that in regards to, okay, there will be a replenish of the earth to get it back to the form where it was, as far as us humans that have basically contaminated it, in a sense, if you will.
Yeah, think about that. When your body gets a disease, what does it do? You catch a fever, your body heats up to burn out to burn out those viruses or those unwanted entities in your body. It's burning them out. That is, see, that just, and okay, so what was that? Okay, so that was the Matrix, and it was just like you made me think about Marvel Infinity War. What happened with Thanos? Got rid of half of the population. They said the trees started to grow back, wildlife started coming back, the air was cleaner. They even said during the pandemic the air got cleaner because all these cars were...
Think about what happened during COVID. I mean, we literally just sat here and watched this between March 2020 and fucking today, because people are still dying from COVID and they will continue to die from COVID, right? Like, I believe that there have been numerous resets, whether it's the Noah flood or the mud floods or, whatever other things took place on this place. There's data and there's proof that show that this place has been reset. Buildings in cities that are ground level, like that we've built on top of, civilization. So, the great reset has to happen. But I agree. I think that we are the virus. We absolutely are the virus.
Okay. Let me say this first. Golden Brown Sugar said, "Whatever you do, do not watch the movie Noah. It's not. Noah was the worst movie from a."
Oh, you talking about with Russell Crowe?
They should have
terrible.
You know how you do a parental advisory before something that got explicit? They should have said like that advisory. This is non-biblical. This has nothing to do with it. They just took some names and ran with it. That was awful.
Q, before you get into the next segment, I wanted to comment on what Nikki said, because she mentioned something about the trees.
Sure.
And you do have certain trees that are aged 6,000 years. Now, Nikki is opposed to the 50 billion or 50 trillion million years stretch, which brings the question, like, how many trees can you find that has aged 50 or 60 billion years or so? You probably won't be able to find it. The most you'll be able to find is a tree living for 5,000 or 6,000 years. That should tell you right there as far as how old the earth may be, depending on the lifespan of that particular tree.
We're gonna get
Unless what happened, another reset happened, killed off, burned down every living thing that was there, and so we start over every 5, 6, 7,000 years. Because it looks like the oldest trees are a couple thousand years old. Looks like 4,800 years old is the oldest living tree.
Timetable of the rings of the like, you still got to believe that.
And I do. So to prove the thought right, that like, why don't we have trees that are billions of years old? My thought is that obviously, as resets have happened on this planet, all of possible proof of, let's say, 8 million year old trees, 5 million year old trees, even 10,000 year old trees, something older than 4,800 years old, we would have that information.
Okay, but here, what if they're wrong about the rings? Like, what if the rings, like, certain things can be true up to, like, I'll say it like this, like, the whole dog years for dog, 1 year equals 7 years.
Right.
It's not actually accurate if you ever look. So it's accurate for the first 4 or 5 years.
I've heard that too.
And then after a certain amount of years, it's not
like it flattens itself back out. It's like a year. It's like 1 for 1.
Right, exactly. And depending on the breed of dog, the age.
Right. That's true.
So all I'm saying is, we might say, because this one got this many rings, then it maybe the rings stop producing after a certain period of time. And maybe it could be a lot older than we think. I'm throwing a bunch of random stuff out there. My whole point is, we don't know.
But that's just it, right? I think that true nature, not the nature that we're given today, not this HAARP modified weather and all this bullshit, that has happened. You say climate control. I used to believe climate control was a thing too. I don't believe in climate control anymore. Weather is so modified that they can create it to be whatever they want it to be. So you would just think, with nature being the truest of, to me, nature is the closest thing to God. It is God. Like, it is Earth. It is planet. It is Mother. It is life bearer. Like, it's where life begins. So, like, nature will give us that information, unless nature doesn't want us to fucking know. And nature could be the reason for the great resets. People will say it's Jesus, or it's Judgment Day, or it's God, or it's this entity, or whatever the case may be. But it could be Earth saying, I don't want you motherfuckers to know. I don't want you to know the truth. But then science comes in, man comes in, human comes in, religion comes in and tells us, this is what we want you to believe.
Okay,
because this agenda works for XYZ.
I got a question to you based off of something that you said, and it sparked something in me.
Something I rambled.
Yes. What if we as people
yes, Denise, I'm telling you.
What's that?
Sorry, she was like, yeah, the earth is protecting us, protecting itself from us.
Right, yeah, exactly. What if we as people were not given this structured education, and
we'd be so much smarter?
That's what I'm saying. That was going to be my question. Do you think we would have more of the answers to these questions that we have if we weren't kind of boxed into how we were taught to learn?
I think
how much further do you think we would be?
We would all be running around as our own scientists, our own mathematicians, our own astronauts, our own geologists. We would be those people. And that's actually something that I posted on Facebook. I think on our Facebook page is, somebody had posted something, and I think it was Seldom Seen had posted something on the Facebook page, and it was basically asking kids questions about like some historical shit and like quantum physics, and just conversations that you know, the school system leads you to believe that only the smart kids like think like this, right? As opposed to, no, if kids were just given a blank fucking slate and never told what to think, these kids pulled words out of their mind that it was like, that's not how most kids are taught. So imagine if we weren't given education that we were required to subscribe to, and we weren't given religion, whether you agree or not, imagine where we would be as children if we didn't have those two structures guiding our whole entire life. I think that we would be far greater and smarter as a species. So maybe part of that is also done for, you know, the dumbing down.
And I take it a step further. I think there's a possibility that we'd be much further along even in the supernatural or spiritual knowledge that we have.
I bet we would be tapping into that sixth sense. There would not be that large percentage of our brain that we don't use. We're using this whole motherfucker because we're going to places and we're channeling into, you know.
You think we all have bigger heads? Yes. Our evolution, then humans that have like twice our heads be 50% bigger than they are right now. Just
and it's like, so then you get into the conversation of creationism versus evolution, and that to me, it's like, okay, well, you know, what are the other theories? You know, like I want to know more about what they say, and so for me, I guess the eternal, you know, question bearer is, I always want to know why, who, what, when, where, why. Like I always want to know, and I understand that not all questions have answers, but most of the questions should have answers. There should be definitive information.
I got one more throw in before I kind of push this along, and it's I'm listening to y'all. I'm throwing out stuff.
Well, but same question. I want to know what you guys think about the same question. Like, if we didn't have education, do you guys feel where do y'all think they would be as a people if we didn't have the education structure that we were required to go to?
Oh man!
You go first.
If we didn't have the education structure that we have today, I think we'll be a lot more productive as far as our survival or you know, school of thought, because primarily, you know, the basic essentials that we have is like, you know, food and shelter and also work. So if you look at it from an agricultural perspective, and the foods that we eat, a lot of the foods that we eat are processed. So if you take away that element of processed foods, a lot of us will be living longer and healthier lives, as opposed to the, you know, eating these processed foods. Like, for example, you know, I'm out, you know, working, you know, outside all day, and McDonald's is not considered, you know, authentic, real food. And people still eat that stuff, like still eat that gunk. So it's like, if we were to remove the element of fast food, if we were to remove the element, because a lot of things that are being invented or created is making us be lazy. Like we're not willing to work anymore. We're really to get we're ready to get the convenience of things. So it's more so right now quantity over quality. We don't look for the quality in things anymore, as far as like going through the work and enjoying something that can preserve an individual, as opposed to just killing us slowly, in a sense.
Right.
So I'm thinking about this, but I
love to see this happen.
I'm just like, well, one of the things we look at the downside, but I don't want to discount the benefits of a structured society either. Because like the way we're talking, okay, well, we learn more, we know better, we do better. Just because people know better don't mean that they do better. And just because we have a free thinking society doesn't mean that the equation of greed will be taken out of the equation. If there's still greedy people, if people still have natural levels of pride and possession, then it could turn out there's potential that it could turn out worse. than what it is right now. So I think things possibly could be better, but one thing I do think is that the control would be different. I don't think governmental society would really be able to rule over people that are that open and freely thinking.
Right.
I don't think money would exist more so than, but there would be a fight for natural resources.
Right.
Like, so people, if they're still greedy, okay, people might take over certain territories and they say, all right, I'm in control over the wood. If you want to build your house, you got to come through me.
Right.
Or gold, copper, any natural resources, oil that you would need to help you work the land, then that would be the money.
Right.
But there's still as long as there's need for those things, then there'll still be a control issue. So I think it could be good, or I think it could go opposite. To say this, you just can't. And I think social structure often tempers the greed of everyday people.
Sure.
I just don't know. I don't know what that would look like if that lid was taken off.
Well, it's kind of hard to quantify that, though, too, when we're thinking about that question in the world in which we live, the spaces in which we have experience with. Like, if we literally took it all away, would the ails of society even exist if, like, the original human didn't even have that stuff to begin with, right? Like, so I hear you. Go ahead, Denise. I'm sorry.
I think the question that I was going to ask was, if we like really break down what the real issue is, like greed is a thing, but like what's the root base of greed? Is this really like about survival? Like what triggers us to have these instincts of, it's just like we're fighting, I feel like, to survive in some sense.
Procreation, women.
Unpack this.
It's very
wait, hold on.
No, it ain't that complicated.
Unpack it, Q. You gotta unpack it.
If you have possessions, we men will do whatever is desirable to the sex that we're trying to attract. So if the majority of men are trying to attract women, and the man who has the possessions that is the strongest, that seems to be the one who can protect and give security and just provide, and also be a defender of their children as well, those are the one that women are going to attract to. Mm-hmm. And men want to be what's attractive to women, the men who are looking to seek the approval of women. So as long as that dynamic, and they like, listen, this goes back to just nature. They'll tell you even the friendliest, most will communicate and interact with human beings, elephants, lions, whatever the case is. Some of the nice ones, when they're in heat, they will tell you to leave them alone, because when they're in heat, they're violent, they're dangerous, they are they out for the hunt, because they're seeking, they're wired differently, right, in those times when they're in heat. That don't change it seems different with human beings, but it's similar. It's similar.
So is there ever a world that is going to exist when this is always going to be a factor?
A world where
unless people are like docile and
right, where sex doesn't exist and procreation comes from different methods other than sex. or they're putting things in your food to make you more docile.
Yeah.
Or they're putting things in your body. We ain't gonna get into that one thing, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That might make you more. You know what I mean?
Oh, Nikki get into it. Nikki gonna get it. Let me tell you something. Well, Denise, let me tell you something.
This is about.
I'm gonna tell you something, Denise. I put it in my body, and it didn't make me a lick of docile. I just popped out 2 more kids.
They weren't all the same recipe. It was a whole bunch of recipes going around at that time.
To the point I had to do my own adjustments. Shoot. Okay, let me ask this real quick. I'm trying to get to the other scientific part, but y'all keep sparking more questions out of me. Which is cool.
Good, keep it going.
Just a thought. Throw this out there. what if aliens gave us this information?
Which information?
The basic information about how long the Earth has been in existence, how long people have been in existence, how to mark the rings on the trees, like certain scientific things that we use, and some of the stuff that we use, but we don't even technically understand how we know it or how we use it. What if this information was given to us? Like they keep going back to the pyramids. How were the pyramids created? There's certain
Now,
things that we're like, yeah. Go ahead.
If you want to go to that length, then allow me to interject from this perspective. Now, some people may get it, some may not, but it's okay. So, the biblical narrative states that because in Genesis it talk about the sons of God mated with the daughters of men. So the narrative is, I said the sons of God married the daughters of men and had offspring, which is called the Nephilim.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I'm not gonna get into the whole storyline of it. But I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. So the point is that these terrestrial or spiritual beings taught the sons of men things that they were not supposed to know, as far as like sorcery or necromancing or weapons of war or instruments of death. So when you look at it, as far as asking the question is, did aliens give us this information? Well, look at it from this perspective as well. Yeah. As far as the biblical narrative, yes, we were given this information by spiritual beings that were forbidding for man to know. And now look what you have now. You have this tailspin of a whole bunch of phenomenon and things of that nature going on right now.
Right. And that's the thing I add on to that, Yehukanan. It's funny to me when I have conversations in all different spaces, and so many times people will do the religion versus science thing. And I'm like, if you really take the time to examine both of them, most of the time they're not conflicting. You can look in the Bible, even like Yehukanan was referring to, you can look in the Bible that will confirm a lot of science, confirm a lot of conspiracy theory, confirms a lot of that stuff. So the way people think it's always conflicting, it's usually not. There's just it's how it's presented oftentimes.
To your point, Q, is like, which information holds more authority, or which information is greater. But when you sit back and dissect it, there are similarities there as far as whatever the narrative is.
Or what I say is sometimes people they'll only receive it from a certain language. So science is saying it in this language and religion is saying it in this language, but someone who understands both languages, they'll be like, yeah, y'all really saying the same thing, and you don't know.
Funny thing is that people tie the Bible to religion when it's not even about that. It's a historical reference book that is highlighting a particular group of people. But I'll say that the connotation of it is that it's when you mention Bible, it's automatically tied to religion, and it's like, let's just remove that equation for a second and get to what it actually is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I use that term because I know that's the term how people recognize it. But no, I actually agree with it. Okay, we're good.
I mean, I like the conversation of Nephilim. I do. When you start talking about aliens, and you said, "Well, what if aliens gave us this?"
I was no, forgive me. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to make sure Denise knew she was on camera. I'm like, okay. But you see, my raggedy ass wasn't gonna say nothing.
She good.
I wasn't gonna say nothing though. I'm raggedy. But let's see. Okay, I got was that the last question? Oh, did I ask this? Oh, okay. Do you believe in Atlantis, the city of Atlantis?
You asking me or just in general?
Anybody. I'm opening it up. Anybody.
I don't see why not. I don't know about this. I don't know necessarily of the story, how much of stories, I put, 100% into, but the concept and the theory, absolutely. There's so much down there we know nothing about. And why not cover it with water? Put all the gods,
be able to get to it.
Put all the gods there, hide them down there. Nobody can get to the trenches, the gods / aliens, whatever you want to call them.
So check this out.
Hold on, let me address this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gold Brown Sugar says, "Stop reading L. Ron Hubbard books.
I saw
He was
that.
high on drugs. There are no thetans. I don't know what that means. That's over my head. But let me tell you something, Golden Brown Sugar. You can have some of your greatest revelations while you high. Do not discount people just because they high.
Baby, you tapping
into different stuff, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you can learn you
throw
can
some mushrooms in there and watch what happens. I'm just saying.
Maybe, hey, I ain't gonna say not.
I'm just saying.
Don't discount somebody just because they high. They tapped into something that you may not. They can show you something.
Right.
I'm sorry, Yehuganan. What were you about to say, sir?
Okay, so you mentioned about Atlantis, and I think Nikki said something about water or underwater. Am I correct in hearing you say that? Okay, so I was looking up as far as because the mass of the Earth is primarily water.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
80, and this is a fact. You can look this up. 80% of the ocean has never been discovered by man. 80%. Yep. So when you talk about Atlantis,
who said that's a fact?
City, huh?
Who said that's a fact? And if it's a fact, how they know it's 80%? How you know the exact percentage of?
Well, okay, well that is the narrative as far as the research goes, sir.
Okay.
The point is,
they say only 5% has actually been explored. Only 5% actually has been explored. So it's less than what you even thought. So yeah, like what?
let's just move on with the narrative here.
Right.
Because I was trying to get to a point, but I got segued a little bit. The point is that if we're talking about the city of Atlantis, and do we believe that exists and whatnot? Who knows what else could be underneath the water as far as talking about these ancient cities that we know about but are no longer in existence. And you can tie this into those who actually do deep sea dive and be pulling out these artifacts that they put in museums.
Right.
Let you know that yes, these ancient cities did exist because you're pulling out these evidence of what they left behind, like stuff written in stones, hieroglyphs, these certain messages that they put on the stone and pictographs and all of that gives you the evidence right there that these cities did exist, but now it's just underwater. So you got to go through, deep diving just to discover this stuff. So just imagine what else could we discover if you were to get, beyond that 80 percentile range as far as seeing what's underneath the waters, if you will, if we're talking about Atlantis.
Ooh, that makes me think about something, y'all. So what if the aliens... Okay, have you ever seen Interstellar? What if...
No, I haven't.
Damn, you need to watch that movie. It'll make your mind like... But what if the aliens, maybe they were on another planet, and maybe their planet was dying for whatever reason, and maybe they came to our planet, and maybe they don't need oxygen, but they need H2O to breathe. What if they're the ones that were living under the water? And what if we're their experiment?
We are the experiment. Earth is project. For me, it's Project Earth. We are the experiment.
Like, can we create a being that can live outside of the water, whereas we live in the water?
You really have to think
and if
about.
You think about it. Ooh. So let me go a little bit deeper, because the oldest living creatures are in the water.
Yeah.
Like scientifically, they talk about
so
living. They're water beings.
Yeah.
When they talk about crocodiles and whales, and those are the oldest living beings that's on the earth.
Those are the
This is
dinosaurs.
good, y'all.
So
This
I'm
is
saying so,
good.
brother, it could have came from the water first, and like so we could be the experiment. Let's create something that can live outside of the water, and it would only make sense. Like even if an alien life form wanted to inhabit Earth, what would be why would land be attractive to them? It's only like 20% that's here on this Earth, but the water is the majority of the Earth. So if there was, they'd be attracted to the water more than they would be the Earth.
But that's where they say a lot of this. That's where they say a lot of the UFOs actually go. They say they have us so focused on looking up, when in all actuality, we need to be looking in the fucking water.
Oh, check this out, Nikki. You just brought this thought up. You just brought this thought up. Can you hear me? Okay, so there's a certain book that I've read. Well, actually, I still have it, and I need to get through it. It's called "Behold the Pale Horse."
Oh yeah.
So there's the author. The author was an ex Navy intelligence officer, whatever the case may be. Anyway, the point is, he said he was on a naval base, a naval ship, one night in particular, and he witnessed the water opening up and a spaceship flying out of the water, like coming out from underneath the water. Now, use your imagination here. Now, what he saw basically was an information that is not for the general populace. So he had to sign like a disclosure waiver saying that what you saw, you did not see. So when you said something about that, Nikki, it's like, there's a mystery behind it as far as like what is going on underneath these waters. And you can take an example as far as the Black Panther movie, the recent Black Panther movie, when it had these people that lived underwater. There's an underworld or underwater world going on down there that we don't know about.
And that's by intelligent design, in my opinion. Make it to where us air breathers can't get to it. I mean, we can't get down there far enough. We can't get into the Mariana Trench. There's just so much of underwater that is uncovered, that is also preserved by darkness, by salinity. Like there's it's like there's even been things that I've thought about aliens and shit over the course of my life that have also changed, because of the things that we're literally seeing coming out now, right? But to your point, like you mentioned, you hooking on about how the author, was it William Cooper or something, of Pale Horse, he had to sign, basically NDA. You didn't see what you saw. That's the same thing as the Antarctic Treaty. You can't fucking go there. You cannot go to a certain point in Antarctica. Why can't explorers travel there? Why is it off limits? What the fuck is there that we can't see? Why can't we go there?
That's even like the place in whatever, the New Mexico Area 50. What is that area? What?
Area 51.
They want to keep acting like stuff ain't nothing there, but why y'all gotta guard it so hard and can't nobody go over there? If it ain't nothing there, why would you have that much military presence and all these barriers that say you can't go past this place?
Y'all don't want to travel those waters.
Bermuda Triangle.
So I've seen a UFO before when I was younger, when I was like 16 years old.
Same.
I probably talked about this last time I was in here. I checked with this dude I went to school with every few years just to be like, yo, do you remember this? And he would tell me yes. And I just need that confirmation to make sure that I'm not crazy.
Right.
But it wasn't like I could actually see like a ship. I just saw lights, and they were like perfectly evenly lined up, and I saw it, and just as soon as I saw it, they were gone.
Yep.
And they tried to, and then the rumor that they tried to use was it was what do they call those things? Flares. I know what flares look like. My mom was in the military. There's no way in hell that they're not making the flares. Ain't making no sounds, and they're not doing a little fizzle thing when they go out.
Right.
They're not going to be there, be perfectly lined in a row, bright as hell, and then gone in a flash. It's just that's not how flares work. So
let me
it was
get to
interesting.
this part. So Do on the surface of the earth, do any of you believe that there are aliens walking among us? Like, remember the series V, where there's the lizard people walking among us and all of that? Like, do you believe that there are aliens walking among us?
I do. I think to me, the way that I think as a human, I think that I would be really ignorant to think that we're the only humanoid looking being walking this motherfucker. After how many billion years did we say that we've been around here? No. Like, but I go back to the, the reptilian, conversation. Like, I think that there are aliens walking among us. Yeah, I do.
I think they're different. Not like this is the first time I've thought about this before, but I think that there might even just be different species. Like,
Sure.
what if some of these animals are different species of like aliens? You know what I'm saying? Like, and what if they are walking around like you said, Nikki, like humanoid looking ones? What if we're mixed with aliens? Like, if we're going back to what we were talking about earlier about the scripture of like, the God sons made, like, what if we're part alien on some shit? And what if the only reason why we're not getting knocked off is because the women are just so freaking beautiful that's the only reason why they're not killing us?
Right.
That's possible.
Or they haven't quite figured out what they need to figure out about us to fucking get rid of us and carry on with whatever their lineage is. Like, we're obviously needed for some reason. Whether we're the test, the test dummy, or we're the guinea pig. I don't know what the purpose of us in that grand scheme is. I don't have any thoughts on that in per se, but they need us. Otherwise, I feel like we would absolutely fucking be exterminated.
A lot of the stuff that y'all saying.
Do you think in the same, Yuhukanan, let me ask you this first. In the same way where the Bible talked about that, do you think that there are still those angels or those beings that still walking among us like they did even back then?
Before I get to answering that question, I just want to say that Nikki and I forgot the what's the other sister's name? Denise. A lot of what y'all just said a moment ago, I've read from a biblical narrative or perspective in regards to the beauty of women and why these spiritual beings were attracted to them in a sense and stuff like that. But as far as your question, Q, I would say it's possible. It's just it kind of got like watered down now as opposed to back in the day. Because back in the day, they the narrative said that giants walked the earth or they were here. But when you look at it, today they consider it to be a fairy tale. And I'll give you a depiction as far as like these mystical creatures that people say that didn't exist, but could possibly be in existence. If you ever seen the Chronicles of Narnia and you look at the creatures that were in there, like those minotaurs, those centaurs and things of that nature, one would ask the question, where did they get the imagination of creating these creatures? Where did they come from? They had to come from somewhere. What do they know?
And you mentioned something after Disney.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about Area 51, which is one of the most difficult places to enter to get access to. So one would ask the question, what could they be hiding in Area 51 that they don't know, want the general populace to know to get that information out there? And I'll rest with that.
Absolutely.
Well, y'all remember a couple of months, not even months ago, was it maybe like 3 to 9 months ago when they actually admitted that there were aliens, but they were using a different phrase. I forgot what they were calling it to like put a little.
It wasn't UFO. It was like fucking something else. But yes.
They were trying to dress it up and make it sound cute instead of just straight up saying aliens.
Yeah.
What happened to all that? What happened to that conversation?
We're still waiting for apologies. All the people who told us over the years we're fucking crazy. You tinfoil hat wearing people, y'all crazy people. We're still waiting for apologies. They literally, but see this, so Denise, this is where the tinfoil hat on me then starts to stand up really high, because if they are giving it to us, we almost have to question its validity. Because they could lie forever, and we just have to go with what they say, or we just go with what our belief is. But for them to have given us the morsel that aliens, UFOs exist, why are they telling us that now? They don't tell us the fucking truth ever. Just like the incident that happened in Miami. You know, people are like, oh, what do you think about the Miami thing and about the aliens at the mall? I'm like, first of all,
you know why they'll tell you that? They'll tell you that. I'm not even familiar with the story, but what I do know, they'll tell you that because now that information is coming from them. And when the information comes from them, then they can control the narrative. So now, if the cat's out the bag as far as they exist, now let's go ahead and say it in a way to where we acknowledge they exist. But now you're hearing that information from us, and now we can control what you believe about that information. So the probability is whatever it is that the information that they're giving you is so that they can control you in a way to make you look a certain way, because now you know, but we have a different agenda about what's really going on with it. And in order to keep you from, we'll give you a little bit, we'll let you know they exist, but we won't tell you the agenda behind what it is.
Right.
That's how things work out when people give certain information, but they're still doing it in a way that they want to control that information. Now they're going to tell you just enough to either make you focus about it or to make you numb to it. Just like a lot of this. They'll talk about mass shootings and stuff like that, but people didn't hear about all of the mass graves that they had behind the jail in Mississippi. Like, people ain't talking. They have ways to maneuver to where we can get you to focus on what information we want you to, and not focus on other things. And I bet you never even know. I bet you they were stealing them people organs.
They were.
After they gutted all that, half of their organs sitting in some rich white person right now.
Yeah.
Man, you gonna have me. I had a thought on that, man. I don't want to detour for the thought that I was about to present. Okay, so you guys are familiar with the term "hidden in plain sight." Oh, you ever heard the phrase? Okay, so the upper echelon of the powers that be, they put the information out there in front of your faces, and they know that the people that view this are going to look at it as a conspiracy theorist type thing, so they're not going to believe it anyway. If you put it out there, it's only for like a select few that is able that will be able to, like, see it. But the point of it is that they're going to put it in our faces and then say, what are you going to do about it? Right. Like, there's nothing you can do, because they already have a contingency plan in place as far as, like, okay, if this gets out, we are, that's old news. We had that like 10 years ago. We're on to something else. So, it is funny, like you mentioned something cute, because when somebody comes with this information, as far as going against the status quo, they will make that person look like a crazy person, basically. So if somebody comes out with this type of information and is presenting it to the people, for example, William Cooper, because he tried to do that, and was they tried to kill him on more than one occasion, but he was basically labeled generalized as a crazy person or a conspiracy theorist. Don't believe what he's saying because it's not true, but yet all the while they doing what he's saying behind closed doors.
Y'all, I got a theory, because y'all got my brain going. What if there is a treaty, and the thing is, I feel like when we have this conversation, we always look at the treaty as one-sided, like we can't, go there? But also, what if they are not allowed to come here? And just as much as we're having a rebellion and we're waking up to things and we're starting to see things, what if whatever the aliens government was also hiding things about us and they didn't know about us? And maybe there are a few of them who did get curious and came out and, are going against the grain and rebelling just like we are rebelling.
So there are portals.
I add on to that story. Like, what if some of the aliens there, just like the U.S., we have ambassadors in every country of interest to monitor, make sure everything cool. That ain't nothing about to pop off. In the same type of way, there could be
alien sleeper cells,
and we can have people going up there to make sure. All right, y'all cool. Y'all ain't trying to do nothing, are you? Like, there could be ambassadors here.
But that's just it. We can't go anywhere. Like we've proven over and over and over, we can't leave this. There's only a certain distance in which we can travel to. However,
we can.
Yes, there are. You can only get up so far. However, there are down around the Antarctic, down around the poles. There are what they would call portals. There are ways in which you can get around and get into over the wall of ice and into what you of course would consider Earth. But if you look up in the sky any night where it's clear, and I'm not talking about airplane lights, you're going to see something up there fucking moving nonstop, and then it takes off like every single night. When it's clear out, we can go outside and we can lay out there and you will see way above airplane level. You'll see just out of nowhere this light will show up, and then it hovers, and then it takes off, or it travels a little bit, and then it shoots off at warp speed. These are the travelers coming over, and I think Baby Daddy calls them Sky Watchers or some shit. Huh?
I said, what if they're transporting some of our people over there?
I mean, I'm not saying that they don't pick our people up. I'm not saying that they don't have the capabilities. They're far smarter than we are. They have far greater technology than we do.
I'm just playing around with this. Let's throw this out here.
Oh, I got.
What if, in the midst of the drugs and the poverty and the hood and the slums, and this is all, what if there was another world that we can go to? How many people would sign up to be like, yo, it's better than here. I'm out of here. What if
only the elite has access to that?
Exactly. So what if they're telling us that we can't go unless we try to go to the moon, or we can send a probe to Mars and to Jupiter, but we ourselves can't go? What if they're telling you that because that's another form of control? Because they need to keep the poor, and they need to keep the poor here on this earth to do their bidding for them, and to work in their shops, and to work at Tesla, and to work for Apple, and to work for Amazon, and to keep. You need poor people to do that. Rich people ain't doing that. So we need you here in order to keep doing that. We cannot let you know that there is another place that could potentially be better than this, or everyone would clamor to leave.
Of course.
Just
thank you.
Throwing it out there.
Yes, I got a question. Have you ever seen the movie 2012?
Yeah.
I can't remember. If it wasn't that
saw
good.
It back when it came out,
okay.
But yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so it's a sci-fi movie. Basically, the point of it is there was a I think it was 2012. But anyway, the point is that there was a cosmic shift, a cataclysmic type cosmic shift. Basically, the world was going to flood again, so they had to travel to this certain area to get on these ships in order to survive, to basically repopulate the earth. So the only people that knew about this particular ship was the very important people. Everybody else was a casualty.
Yeah.
Everybody else was a casualty. So when you say that, as far as like these elitists or these upper echelon folks knowing about these places that we don't know, it's because they're going to get there. You're not. Whatever happens here, you're stuck. As a matter of fact, funny thing, because my wife asked me last night about these underground bunkers that these
billionaires are building.
They're building.
Yeah, 15 billionaires have built an underground bunker in the last 12 months.
Yeah, so it's like, It ain't for us, it's for them and whoever is on the list. As far as we're concerned, we're doomed according to them.
Right.
So it just makes you wonder, as far as what they know and what they are able to accomplish in regards to them keeping this stuff quote unquote classified from the general populace.
You add on to that, Yehukanan, you have to ask yourself, why do you think that these billionaires can comfortably pollute the earth and ravage the land and kill off the trees in order to produce whatever they want to produce and not be concerned about it? It's one or two things. They know that they're not going to be on this earth long enough for them to feel the effects of it, or they know that once this earth is completely ravaged, then they have options to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, how do we know that all this conflict and all this stuff is going on is really between two countries? How do we know this isn't some other deeper thing going on and we're being told, it's this, but what if it's something else?
Right. Have any of y'all ever seen the show The 100? And I've talked about this before. Have y'all seen The 100?
It was a lot. It was a 100. It was the 4400. It was.
I started watching 4400, but it was the 100 to me.
The one with the superheroes, kind of. They had supernatural abilities. That's the 4400.
No, the 4400 was just because they just all vanished, right? And then they showed back up one day, all 4400 people just magically fucking showed up on a shore somewhere, and and they were lost in time whenever they got 50 years, 80 years or something have passed. The 100 though, I totally recommend going and watching the 100. And I've watched it a few times, and I don't watch shows over and over, but I've had to watch it a couple times to catch all of the different parts, because as each season starts, it almost takes you to a different timestamp in, let's say, humanity, from being humans that got sent down from space to test out to see if the radiation had finally, calmed down so much on planet Earth after a major explosion that humans could live on Earth again. So season 1 starts with just trying to see if we can even fucking live on land, but we were already in space, living in space, to have protected us from this explosion that happened on Earth and all this radiation. So 100 years goes by, they drop these 100 kids to fucking test dummy these bad kids out to see if they can sustain themselves, but there was already people here. And of course, those people could withstand the radiation and so on and so forth. But as the seasons went on, then it takes you to AI. Then it takes you to the relationship between aliens and humans. It takes you to the tribes that came from snow. It takes you to all these mythological stories that we've been told, and it kind of makes you look at it like, Are we who the fuck we thought we are? Do we come from where we've been told we come from? It's a very interesting show, and it's like anything else. They put this shit in sci-fi to make us think it's just a stupid sci-fi movie, when in fact it's like little gems being dropped in all these sci-fi movies. There's truths to some of these things, or at least you should question the truths to some of these things.
Can I say something slightly racist? Just a little racist. Not
he said just a little.
Just a little.
So
no, you may not, sir. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
I should follow what you're saying. And no offense, Nikki, but
oh, come on now.
White people have not historically been known as the most creative people. They will take the ideals of other people and use their resources to capitalize.
We will steal some people's shit.
So what I'm saying is, even when you see these productions and these TV shows and these movies, do you really think it was some white person just using their creative brain to be like, oh, there's a good chance that information came from somewhere, and they like, okay, this information, we could take this and turn this into a show. Like Yehukanan said, hidden in plain sight.
Right.
Because we already know, okay, we know there's a ship. We know that there is a settlement and a resting station, 5,000 miles away from the earth or whatever. We already know this. We have this information and we know this. What if we could just take that premise, turn it into a TV show, and then we could the best stories are the one that's sci-fi but the closest to reality. Just a thought. I could be completely wrong.
Okay. So this makes where's Snack? Because
I know. I'm surprised.
Y'all actually got me talking about this one.
Right. So what I'm thinking is, okay, you know how Snack always like, they gotta tell us first.
Yep.
What if the whole thing isn't even that they have to tell us first, but they're introducing us to the idea so it doesn't shock us when it happens. You know what I mean?
Well, he always says they got to tell you first. That's intergalactic law. They got to tell you first. So they can fucking do it to us. They just got to tell us about it first. So it can't be like, oh, y'all never told us nothing. Yeah, we did. We just put it in cartoons and anime and shit that you would think like, oh, can't be real. This is not a documentary. This is not real and it's official. Like, this is comical. It's funny. It's bullshit. It's sci-fi. It's not real.
Like the way, in order for this to properly go over, we have to introduce it to them in a palatable way so that when it becomes reality, there's already a connection with what they're seeing. Just like what you see all the time happen with these agendas that a lot of these communities have with these children and stuff. And you see it in commercials, you see it in cartoons, you see it in books, you see all this stuff. They're massaging certain things. So when they try to push this agenda, we've already been desensitized to it, and we don't think it's crazy versus
exactly.
It'd be all out rebellion.
To Denise's point, is exactly what happened when they released the memo that there are fucking UFOs. Nobody cared. All of a sudden, motherfuckers don't care. Right. All of a sudden, nobody cares that the proof came out that they exist when you've been denying the existence forever.
Seen all the movies already. We saw Independence Day, and we've seen all of the movies. Okay.
But the fact that they said it actually is true, all these conspiracy theorists, they weren't lying, but nobody wants to talk about that part. They play it off as like, oh, well, we already know. No, you just told me yesterday that I was crazy.
And what they also do is another trick is allowing the quote unquote conspiracy theorists to have a voice, but to have a weak voice.
Right.
So they'll let everyone say whatever they want to say, but they just won't give you the main headlines. They won't put it on mainstream news. They'll put it in a way where you hear the information, but you've been programmed to discredit it.
Right.
We're talking about this in City Under the and like no mermaids, no, like you just discount everything if it doesn't come from a quote unquote reliable source. What is a reliable source?
Sounds like COVID. Sounds like vaccines.
So check this out. Check this out. Yeah. All right. So we know that the media is controlled by three powerful companies.
Yep.
So they control the narrative as far as what news they put out there.
I don't know that. What are the companies? Because I'm not familiar with that.
I think one of them is
Jewish. They're all Jewish.
I think one of them is Viacom. Viacom. I think one of them is Viacom.
Mm-hmm.
We just did the trifecta. We'll see y'all in like 60 days. We about to get about white people.
No, it's just me.
She said the J word. We gonna be off for 60 days.
But the point is that imagery is a very powerful weapon when used correctly. So when the media put this information out there, it's kind of like they have these people in zombie mode. So they have them believe whatever that narrative is, or like, for example, a trend. You see a trend that takes place, like, for example, I give you a prime example. Taylor Swift going to the Kansas City Chiefs game. Who gives a flying fish grease about her going to a Kansas City game? And they are like, every move she makes, it is out there in the media. Bam, 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 bam. But what the people don't know or don't realize is what they're doing behind this trend that they got everybody so glued to. And then all of a sudden you get sideswiped with, this information that the conspiracy theorists, quote unquote, knew about and was telling you for years. And all of a sudden you get the memo because you were so caught up in what the news was telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Funny how that works.
Hold on. Yehukanan, because I'm trying to think through this because I'm trying to use a control or variable in there too, because I'm with you. I'm so sick of them showing Taylor Swift. I can't stand it. But
every single second, man.
Hold on. Well, let's stop it though. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. Let's change up the variables. If it was, who's your favorite person? So if it was like Beyonce or Serena or Erykah Badu, Mac, we got 5 minutes, Mac, and we off 5 minutes. I'm not gonna do that right now.
We have us a little parking lot conversation tonight. We'll have us a parking lot conversation tonight.
Yeah, we can go offline and you keep going. I'm on these muscle relaxers because my back messed up. So
no.
1:30, I'm done. But the control, man. What I'm saying, Yehukanan, would you feel the same way if it was your favorite R&B or celebrity personality? Would you still be like, I'm tired of them shows? Because I'm with you. I can't.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would, because I don't watch TV that much anyway, and my head be in the books or paying attention to stuff that they don't think I'm gonna pay attention to. So I don't care who it is. Nah.
I think I'm with you too. I'm like, what do this got to do with football? Like, I don't need to see every time somebody throw a touchdown, then they showing a picture of her.
Yeah, we don't need to see her celebrating and trying to do some.
I agree with you. I like a lot of people, but I would be like, what does this do?
It goes to prove the point. It goes to prove the point.
Yeah.
To Nikki's point, I think what happens sometimes, I think they do certain things just to see if they can move your eyes around. And not every time is there a particular purpose, but they're like, okay, if we do this, like if Beyonce dyes her hair bleach blonde, can we put an algorithm in the system to where we're going to start seeing a whole bunch of girls with bleach blonde hair?
Right.
Whenever Ice Spice was out, okay, we're going to prop her up. We're going to see if the girls start changing their hair color. Like I think
they will
to see, and they do, because I watched it unfold. Hell, even my hair color was the Ice Spice hair color for it. I was like, shit, they got me.
Wearing silver shoes, silver skirt, and silver shirt, and like everybody all of a sudden got a whole fucking closet full of silver.
So I wonder if they do little things just to test to see if they can still do it, and they're like, got it. So it still works. All right, good. So when we need to press the button on this in 3 months, we know that this is going to work, and we're going to press that button.
Y'all need to look up the Committee 300. They set all the trends. It's called the Committee 300.
Yeah.
Every little popular thing. If they want you to have spinny rims, that's what they start pushing. And then everybody start doing it.
So we're at 128 right now. Did y'all have any last words? Y'all can keep talking about
this. So hard. Really cute.
Oh yeah, we've been going long. Like, every time we go long, then I'll be like, we going hard close next time. I try not to go long 2 weeks in a row. We went long last week, so I was like, oh. And you know what, Denise? For your very reaction is why we cut that time exactly. Because I want you to feel the way that you feel, so that you'll come back next week and be like, all right, I need to do that's one of the reasons we do that.
Gotcha.
There we go. Don't give them enough. You give them too much, they satisfied. More, then they'll come back. But I'm
gonna let everybody get their last word in, because I'm gonna segue into what you said at the beginning of the show.
Okay, and you thought it up, so I'll let you close that off. But I thank everyone for having. I thank everybody for this conversation. Yehukanan, thank you for the topic. I think it was very interesting, and I enjoyed. We didn't even get into the whole science part of that. We could do a separate show about that later. Thank you for those who participated in the comments and who just watched and who came on at the last second. We appreciate all of it. Just make sure you tune in, you share. If you have not subscribed yet, do that as well. But again, we always appreciate the conversation. It's always better with you. Nikki?
What is that?
Yeah, somebody should go on mute.
What? Okay, there it is. No, I enjoyed the conversation, and I think that an hour and a half was not sufficient at all. I totally am against getting off on time, but I understand we got rules we got to follow. But I definitely want to expand this conversation, especially if Smack will join us next week, because we just barely got started.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more that we talked about what our own thoughts were, it just kept opening fucking doors. And I think that these are the conversations that we need to have. This is what we need to be doing, because I will definitely say I feel like there is something happening. There's a shift. There's a shift of people who are coming out of and trying to figure out where to go to. What is truth? What is belief? What, you know, I think, and maybe part of that is related to so many of us getting older, having children, seeing things not be what the fuck we were taught that they were, like just uncovering truths, whether they're our own or what society and culture told us was right or wrong, or what to believe in or not. Like, these are the conversations we need to have. We need to start digging into our real belief systems of why do we think this way. And I realize everybody doesn't have a desire to change how they think or feel, or they don't have a desire to actually know what truth may or may not be. Like, I get that some people are content with just living my life on my life's terms. But for those of us that don't have anywhere else to go, that's what this space is for. And these are such a great conversation. And it's a great way to challenge each other and ourselves and people who support us. Like, this conversation is not over. This conversation is just good. But I'll definitely check out Timothy 300. I know you talked about that quite a bit, Smack. So we should look into some of that and just see how the relevance to what we're talking about today. But I would love to continue this conversation next week if we want to, bring more to the table, or what you guys want to do.
Absolutely. Denise,
well, y'all, thanks for joining us. For sure, thanks for joining us. Yeah, go ahead, Denise. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, oh man, I have to say this every time I get on. I love being on here. Like, I never feel like a crazy pants. I never feel judged. I feel like I can say whatever. This is like, to have a conversation so public like this that I wouldn't be one to talk to people about in public, but I'm in a safe space so I can ask these kind of questions. I love that. And secondly, I want to say, question everything. Question everything. Question, like, when you're eating healthier, why you feel like you're at your highest self. Question why, when you're consuming things that aren't gossip and aren't bullshit, why you feel like you're at your highest self. Like, question why, when you're working out, why do you feel like you're at your highest self there? And then question why they don't push for those things. Question why they push to give us chemicals and all those things like that. And then with that, try to live like you're more in your highest realm. That's when you get the most revelations. That's when you get the most ideas. That's when you're the most productive. That's when we can start expanding our brain more, when we start to treat ourselves better. And so I think it's important for us to question why they don't want us to treat ourselves better, so that we can make that our priority, because that's when we're going to get to a different place as a species, when we actually take care of our own health, and then we can maybe get to the planet after that. So that would be my closing statement.
And Denise, there's a frequency involved in that. So you can imagine if we collectively had a frequency change where we were rising in frequency as the masses, what would literally happen? We're electric beings. If we were all barefoot and grounding and rising in elevation and frequency, man, let's go there.
What would it be?
So before I get to Yehukanan last, Smack, did you have anything that you want to say briefly before we shut out of here?
Well, I came in at the last minute, so ain't too much.
I know.
Yeah, you're right.
I would say y'all still need to check out the Book of Clarence. That goes along with what y'all are saying, and really watch for the innuendos in there, like the things that are kind of going over people's heads. And look at the ideas, like what y'all were just saying. Like, we've already been needing to question a lot of different things, and if you really just look at like they're really pushing this space stuff really hard, and it's like, but
Mm-hmm.
all that's been debunked already, and then they just keep
Mm-hmm.
coming with something. Now they got this picture of the space station by the moon, and it's like they're like, oh, it made its way around the moon now, you know. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
It's just the fact that this is what they
We
want to
can hear
give
you.
us.
Okay. Yeah. So now they got this thing around the moon. So when you start asking people logical questions like, well, I thought the space station was 200 miles above the Earth. They're like, yeah, but it can, what do you call it? It can orbit the moon. And I'm like, but the moon is supposedly 240,000 miles away. Like, come on, fam. That's like a super leap. That's like, so if they could do that, then why do they need a rocket? It's like all these different things that are going on. They're trying to change what you're thinking. They're turning up the celebrity thing. Now they're using celebrities to really dumb down people. They used to use them to buy stuff. So the Taylor Swift thing, that's so many different levels. Like I really think that's kind of put there to try to put her over the top of Beyonce because they've been trying to do that for a while. But you know, they're using her whole thing like she's dating the dude. You know, she's dating a football player. I mean, if you've been to Kansas City, it's kind of small. It's like, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? But it's like, who knows? It's the white savior thing again, right? Like, oh, she saved the NFL, made us $334 million, but she doesn't play football. So it's like, y'all could just be saying that. You know what I mean? Oh, we're buying tickets because they want to see her. No, y'all are buying tickets because didn't KC go last year? Weren't they doing their damn thing last year? So they're up now. They're like they're doing their thing. So it's like, so it's just all these things that are changing the ideas of what's going on. They're trying to they're trying to get us really away from talking about that jab that went out a couple years ago, and now all that stuff's coming, and they're trying to now gloss over it, you know. So there's all these things, but yeah, the Committee 300, they set all the trends, everything that's the Stanley Cup, all that shit. Oh yeah, buy your kid this $40 Stanley Cup that has lead in it, and then people ran out and did it, and it's
Yeah.
like, huh? Like, what's the difference between this and just a regular cup? You know what I mean? But look how they're able to turn that frequency up and make people do that. Like, it's all, but it's all that rubbing effect, right? If you seem like you're um successful, people, they're not really into the celebrity. They just want to get a chance to be close to touch them because they think something's gonna rub off on them. It's like, and that's in the Book of Clarence. That's like that same like, oh, if I could just get next to them or be like them, then I'm gonna have this. When people don't really realize, like even with South by coming up, people selling these slots. It's like you're selling slots to young artists coming up, but that ain't gonna do nothing for you. You're just gonna be in a room full of other rappers
South
that
by
paid for the
other
same
rappers.
slot.
South by dead. South by been dead for about 4
Yeah,
years.
but you know, but if you let people, they're running that game, and it's like, dude, you're better off just buying ads and walking up and down the street with a sign promoting yourself. If you're gonna buy a slot, you're just gonna be in front of 30 other rappers that bought the slot too. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all that's
South by
happening.
South by
And
super dead.
no one's coming here to look for the next breakout artist because they could look up all of our RIC accounts and see who's selling what if they really want to do business with you.
Yep.
They don't have to
It's
come
true.
look for you like that. You know what I mean? And most people are smart now. They're holding on to their masters. It's not the same anymore. I was just watching that the Netflix, what is it called? The One Day Only. They're talking about the We Are the World documentary, how they brought them all together. Y'all should watch that too. That was pretty interesting.
I didn't know that was out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
And just the way they brought it together, and then when you start really thinking about how they had all these egos in a room, and you just start thinking about it, it's like people want to. I get it. It's like, Denise, you do music, so you know. Q, you've dabbled in music, so you know. Like, there's a part of you as an artist that want to be signed, but when you now look at it as an older person, you look back at it and you go, you know, if they just would have told us from the jump that we needed $250,000 to make our shit jump, then we could have been working on that the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
That is
Because
true.
that's what it takes. You know what I mean? It takes $100,000 to push a record. Period. No matter who you are. So if you got that and you can get it on the level, and you got $100,000 to push it through all the channels and pay everybody it takes to put it out there, you would have became a superstar too. So it's really not that, and that's why celebrities act the way they do, because they know deep down at the end of the day, hey man, I paid for this. And then once I got here and now I'm famous as shit, like Kanye, right? He's suffering from that shit. It's like I paid to get here, but all being famous really is like I'm about to walk in HEB right now. So if you're hella famous, it means 80% of the people that are going to see me walk in the door, they all know who I am. That's all it is. It's just everybody's aware of who you are. And the more famous you are, that 80% can go to 85, 90, whatever. The less famous you are, you know, you're down to like 2-3%, but that's still something. But it's like when you're on the level they're on, it's turned way up, but you paid for that. And then when they paid for it, and now that they look back on it, it's like it really don't mean much to them. That's why he's acting the way. That's why they act the way they act, because they're like, man, fuck that. I don't give a damn who you are, because they've been living this life now, and they paid for it. So,
Right.
yeah,
For sure. I think Smack. I think he need to bring Black Tea Talk back at least once a month. I think
all the time.
it's kind of like that.
I just feel like if I can't do it better than what I did it, I don't know. I feel like I already said everything, and the people that
a lot to get it out.
The people that heard whatever I said, it's like I don't want to repeat myself. It's kind of like, the people that get it, they got it. The people that don't, they never gonna get it. So it's like,
and they're not going to, and they're not
even going down the rabbit hole. It's just
you
like,
have a lot to talk about once a month. You have a lot to talk about. Yahukanan, let me jump in and get you. Thank you for this topic. By the way, sir, what's your last thoughts?
Hey, Denise.
Oh, my last thought is going to be on just what we said at the beginning of the show. So I'll tell you what Title 4D is. Title 4D is a contract under the Social Security Act that deals with child support. So it's dang, I can't remember the acronym, but basically it deals with child support. So it deals with like those single parents that are in need as far as that type of support. There's a contract called Title 4D that is I'll say that's supposed to be agreed upon in regards to the mother receiving or the parent receiving the benefits of it. And what most people probably don't know that are on child support, that it is voluntary and not mandatory. It's voluntary. So that means the other parent, or I think they call it the obligee, has a choice whether to, as far as signing this contract and providing that financial assistance to take care of their children. So there's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't know in regards to how they push this Title 4D contract that's under the Social Security Act in regards to child support.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely look at it.
All right. Hey, good stuff, y'all. Thank everybody for joining. Thank everybody for the comments. See y'all next week. If y'all have any topic ideas, let us know. Just like we did today. We said we would, and we did. We'll talk about it. All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night.
Night.
Thanks y'all for joining us.